I died choking on my own blood, the metallic tang flooding my mouth as the SUV's headlights bore into me like accusatory eyes. 1 second, I was screaming at my sister Evelyn for stealing my inheritance. The next, tires screeched and my world exploded in a symphony of shattering glass and twisted metal, her little accident to tie up loose ends. But death wasn't the end. It was a goddamn reset button, slamming me back into my body 3 months earlier, right at that fateful dinner table. Fork midway to my lips. Mom's voice slicing through the air like a guillotine. The $22 million from your father's estate? It all goes to Evelyn. She's earned it. My heart hammered in my chest. Not from the memory of the crash, but from the raw, electric surge of being alive again. I dropped the fork, clatter echoing like a gunshot in the opulent dining room of our Upper East Side brownstone, and stared at Mom. Her Botox-smooth face twisting into that fake-ass smile she reserved for board meetings. Evelyn, across from me, didn't even flinch, her perfectly arched brows lifted in mock surprise. But I saw it now, the predatory glint in her eyes. The same one she'd flashed right before ramming her foot on the accelerator that night. Delilah? Honey, are you okay? Mom's voice stripped concern, but it was laced with that Southern Belle steel she'd honed from years of Daddy's Dearest Charm school. Born and bred in Savannah, transplanted to Manhattan's cutthroat elite when she married Dad, she'd always played the gracious hostess. But I knew better now. This wasn't shock, this was the spark. I'd clawed my way back from the void for this, for them to pay. I swallowed hard, tasting the ghost of blood on my tongue, and forced a laugh that came out brittle as autumn leaves. Earned it?
Mom.
What the hell are you talking about? Dad's will was crystal clear. Half to me, half to Evelyn. We watched him sign it together. Remember? That humid August afternoon in his study, with the lawyer droning on about trusts and tax shelters. Evelyn leaned back, swirling her Merlot like she owned the vintage, and soon, the vineyard that produced it. At 32, she was the golden child, Yale MBA, corner office at Dad's hedge fund, the one who'd nurtured his legacy while I, the black sheep artist, flitted through galleries in Brooklyn, painting abstracts that sold for peanuts. But Dad had seen us equal. He'd whispered it to me on his deathbed 6 months ago, his liver ravaged by the cancer that ate him from the inside out. Delilah, my wild one, this money's your freedom. Don't let them cage you.
Now.
Here we were, 3 months after his funeral, and Mom was rewriting history with a notary stamp. She slid a crisp folder across the linen tablecloth, emblazoned with a family crest, a goddamn eagle clutching an olive branch. Ironic as fuck. Your father. He amended it. Darling. In his final days. Evelyn's been handling the revisions. She found a clause, something about undue influence. You were so emotional during his illness. It clouded things. Undue influence? My blood boiled. Visions of my future death flashing. Evelyn's texts taunting me post-crash. Oops. Sis. Guess the road to hell is paved with bad intentions. I'd sued. Of course. But she'd buried me in legal quicksand. Her lawyers painting me as the unstable one, the junkie artist who'd pressured Dad for cash. The judge ruled in her favor 2 weeks before she accidentally ran me off the I-95 overpass. Cops called it road rage from some phantom driver. Evelyn called it karma. I flipped open the folder, scanning the forgery, Dad's signature. Shaky but unmistakable. Dated a week before he slipped in a coma. But I knew the truth. He'd been too doped on morphine to hold a pen, let alone rewrite his empire. This was Evelyn's handiwork. Her forgery classes at that shady art school in Prague paying dividends. And Mom? She'd co-sign it all. Her own cut secured in offshore accounts I'd uncovered too late in my first life. Evelyn, I said, voice steady as a surgeon's scalpel. Did you type this up during your lunch break? Or was it after Pilates? When you snuck into Dad's safe. The room went still. Crystal glasses humming from the AC's whisper. Mom's fork hovered midair, a pearl of hollandaise trembling on its tine. Evelyn's smirk faltered. Just a twitch. But I caught it, like a shark scenting blood. Delilah. That's uncalled for, Mom snapped, her accent thickening with indignation. Your sister's devoted. She nursed him through the end. You were off in that rat-infested loft, chasing dreams. Devoted.
Yeah.
Devoted to draining his accounts dry. I'd seen the bank statements in my past life. Evelyn siphoning funds for her charity galas that were really coke-fueled yacht parties in the Hamptons. And Mom, playing enabler, covering tracks with her socialite smile. I pushed back from the table, chair scraping like nails on a chalkboard. I'm not hungry anymore. But I will be, for the truth. I stormed out, the heavy oak door slamming behind me, but not before catching Evelyn's whisper to Mom. She's on to us. We need to accelerate the plan. Accelerate. The word chilled me to my marrow. In my first go-round, that meant the crash. This time, I'd be ready. The autumn chill bit into my skin as I hailed a cab on Madison Avenue. The city's pulse throbbing around me, horns blaring. Pedestrians in Burberry trenches dodging rain-slicked sidewalks. Manhattan in October was a beast. All gilded leaves and hidden knives. Much like my family. I directed the cabbie to my Brooklyn studio, a fourth-floor walk-up in Williamsburg that smelled of turpentine and regret. But tonight, it felt like a fortress. Slamming the door, I bolted it triple time and sank onto the worn leather couch, the one Dad had smuggled over from his Oxford days. My hand shook as I pulled out my phone, same cracked screen as before, and dialed the one ally I'd trusted too late last time, Marcus Hale, Dad's old estate lawyer. Voicemail. Marcus. It's Delilah. Don't trust the new will.
Meet me tomorrow.
10 a.m. Your office. And for God's sake, watch your back. I hung up, heart racing. Marcus had been the first to die in my timeline, heart attack. They said. But I'd found the ricin in his coffee grounds after hacking his smart fridge. Evelyn's M.O. Untraceable poisons. Courtesy of her philanthropy trips to Eastern Europe. Sleep evaded me that night. Shadows dancing on canvases half-finished, portraits of Dad. His eyes weary but kind. By dawn, I was sketching not art, but a plan. Revenge wasn't a sprint, it was a marathon of calculated strikes. First, expose the forgery. I'd need evidence. The kind that stuck like gum on a Louboutin sole. Morning broke gray and drizzling as I subwayed to Midtown, the F train rattling like my nerves. Marcus's office was a mahogany bunker on the 40th floor, overlooking the Hudson's murky flow. He greeted me with a bear hug, his bow tie askew, silver hair wild. Delilah. Kiddo. You look like hell warmed over. What's this about the will? I laid it out, no hysterics. Just facts. The amendment's date. Dad's morphine haze. Evelyn's access. Marcus's face darkened, pulling files from a safe that hummed like a vault. Your old man's signature is off, pressure strokes too light. But proving it. We'll need a forensic graphologist.
And time.
Time was the enemy. As we poured over docks, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Text. Back off. Sis. Or the next accident's yours. Attached. A photo me. Asleep in my studio last night. Taken from the fire escape. Chills spiderweb down my spine. They were watching. Already. Marcus whistled low, peering over my shoulder at the photo. Jesus. Delilah. This ain't a game. Evelyn's playing hardball, probably hired some ex-Fed PI from those dark web forums she thinks I don't know about. I deleted the text, but the image burned into my retinas. In my first life, I'd ignored warnings like this, chalking them up to paranoia. That naivety got me a steel toe in the ribs and a windshield through my skull. Not this time. We go public, I said. Voice steel. Leak it to the Post. Heiress forges dying father's will. $22 heist. He balked, polishing his glasses with a handkerchief monogrammed MH. That's nuclear.
Kid.
Your family's got pull. Mom's on every charity board from the Met to Memorial Sloan. Backlash could tank you. Backlash? I'd take 1,000 Twitter storms over a grave-like silence. Better scorched earth than buried alive. Marcus. We spent the afternoon in a war room of sorts, his conference table littered with highlighters and cold coffee, crafting an anonymous tip. I signed it a grieving daughter, attaching scans of the suspect will, Dad's medical logs showing his incapacity. By evening,
It was emailed to the gossip desk.
the kind that thrived on Rockefeller-level drama. That night, I didn't go home. Too risky. Instead, I crashed at Marcus's West Village brownstone. His wife Greta fussing over me with chamomile tea and quilts that smelled of lavender and old books. Sleep came fitful, dreams splicing my death with Dad's last rasp. Protect yourself, wild one. Dawn brought the storm. My phone exploded, buzzing like a hive on fire. Headlines screamed from every app. Scandal in the skyline. Socialite's daughter accuses sister of tampering. $22 fortune at stake. Evelyn's face, airbrushed to porcelain, glowered from TMZ thumbnails. Mom's poised denial to CNN. A tragic misunderstanding born of grief. But the tide turned fast. Forensic experts chimed in on Reddit threads, r/legal beagles dissecting the signature like autopsy photos. Amateur job, one posted. Stroke with screams forgery. Shares skyrocketed. Willgate trending by noon. Evelyn called at 2 p.m. Voice syrupy venom. Delilah, you spiteful bitch. This your idea of art? Ruining us? I cradled the phone on Marcus's balcony. City sprawl mocking our tiny feud. Ruining? You stole Dad's dying wish.
Ev.
For what? Another Birkin? Or to fund your little side hustle with the Colombians? Silence. Then a hiss. You have no proof. And if you push, I'll bury you deeper than Dad's in that overpriced plot.
Click.
But I heard the crack in her armor. Fear. Sharp as shattered crystal. Emboldened, I hit the streets, channeling my inner Woodward and Bernstein. First stop, Dad's old accountant, Harold Voss, a chain-smoking relic holed up in a Murray Hill walk-up. He met me in a diner reeking of grease and regret, sliding a USB drive across the Formica like contraband. Your sister's been cooking books since college. Offshore shells in the Caymans, $5 million funneled last year alone. Your pop never knew. I pocketed it, bile rising. In my past life, Harold had vanished mid-trial, Presumed suicide off the Brooklyn Bridge. Evelyn's efficiency at work. Next, the nurse who tended Dad. Rosa, a Filipina powerhouse with a no-bullshit stare. She worked nights at Sloan Kettering now, but met me in a dim-lit Starbucks off Park Avenue. Miss Evelyn? She visited alone.
Yes.
Change his meds tray. I see her slip papers under pillow. He mumble. No. Evie. No. But she shush him, like child. My fists clenched under the table. Undue influence? Try outright coercion. Rose's affidavit would be gold. By week's end, the media circus peaked, paparazzi swarming the brownstone. Mom's gala canceled amid whispers of IRS audits. Evelyn retaliated dirty, leaking my art as delusional scribbles to Art Forum, painting me as the family lunatic. Old photos surfaced. Me at 19. Post-breakup bender. Eyeliner smeared like war paint. It stung, but I weaponized it. Live on TikTok from my studio, yeah? I'm the mess. But Evelyn? She's the monster in Manolos. Views hit millions. Comments a mix of Team Delilah cheers and troll while calling me a gold-digging thought. Controversial? Hell yes. But visibility was vengeance's best friend. Then, the first real blow landed. Marcus called frantic. Delilah, get here now. Someone torched my car, right in the garage. Note on the dash. Next time, it's you. I raced over. Sirens wailing in the distance. The Jag was a blackened skeleton. Acrid smoke curling like accusatory fingers. Cops milled about. One, a grizzled NYPD's vet named Kowalski, eyed me suspiciously. You got enemies. Miss, this screams personal. If only he knew. Family matters, I muttered, flashing the will docs. He grunted, promising to look into it, but his badge gleamed with the polish of underfunding. That night, holed up in a midtown Airbnb under a fake name, I plotted escalation. The USB's data was a bombshell. Evelyn's shell companies linked to money laundering for a cartel, subtle. But the feds would salivate. One anonymous dropped to the Southern District, and her empire crumbled. But doubt gnawed. Was this justice or just my ego's rampage? Dad's voice echoed. Don't become them. Wild one. Yet as I stared at the city lights from the 20th floor, fractured like my resolve, I whispered back. Too late for mercy. The next morning brought twist one, a courier package at the Airbnb desk. Inside, a manila envelope, no return address. Photos spilled out. Me and Dad. Intimate shots from his study. Timestamps matching the amended will date. But wait. Dad's hand on my knee. His lips to my ear. Incestuous whispers?
No.
Just father-daughter secrets. Except these were cropped, angled to scream scandal. Evelyn's escalation framed me as the seductress who influenced Dad unduly. The ultimate smear, tabloids would devour it, painting me as the villain who betted her own father for fortune. Rage ignited, pure and purifying. I wouldn't leak the cartel ties yet.
No.
I'd hit closer to home. Time to confront Mom alone. The brownstone loomed like a tomb under November's slate sky. Doorman buzzed me up, his nod wary. Mom answered in silk pajamas. Martini in hand despite the hour, vodka. 3 olives. Her tell for stress.
Delilah.
To what do I owe the pleasure? Her eyes flicked to the envelope clutched in my fist. I thrust it at her.
This.
Evelyn's latest shit show. You in on it, Mom? Framing your own daughter as a monster? She snatched it, flipping through with manicured nails. Color drained from her cheeks, but not surprise, resignation.
Sit. We need to talk.
About your father. About everything. The parlor was a time capsule. Persian rugs, crystal decanters, Dad's portrait over the mantel gazing down like a judge. Mom poured us both scotch for me, her hands trembling. Evelyn's always been ambitious. But this? It's spiraling. Spiraling? Mom. She killed him. Not with pills, but with greed. And me next. She laughed, bitter as the burn in my throat. Killed him?
Oh.
Honey. Your sister didn't start the fire. I did. The scotch hit like liquid fire. But Mom's words? They were napalm. I set the glass down, the clink echoing in the cavernous parlor like a gavel. You? What the hell do you mean? You did. She paced to the window. Back to me. Silhouette sharp against the rain-lashed panes. Outside. Protesters, fans of Willgate, chanted faintly, their signs bobbing like buoys in a storm. Sit still. Evelyn, she'd always say during our cotillion days, drilling poise into us like boot camp.
Now.
Her shoulders slumped, the steel bending. Your father. He wasn't who you think. We met in '85. Me fresh off the bus from Georgia. Him slinging stocks on Wall Street. Love at first sight. Or so the story goes. But it was his money that hooked me. And the secrets?
God.
The secrets. I leaned forward, elbows on knees. The envelope's poison photos mocking from the coffee table. Secrets like, what? That you forged the will too? Or that you let Evelyn poison Marcus's coffee in my first timeline? She whirled, eyes wide, genuine shock this time. Timeline? Delilah? What are you? Forget it. I waved it off, explaining reincarnation to a woman who'd once called yoga heathen voodoo was futile. Just spill. Why frame me? Why steal my half? She sank into the armchair opposite, decades etching her face in the lamplight. Because it's not your half, darling. It's not even Evelyn's. It's mine. All of it. The room tilted. I'd expected lies. Deflections, hell. Even a slap. But this? Yours? Dad built that fortune from nothing. Traded up from a Bronx walk-up to billions. You were the trophy.
Mom.
The arm candy at galas. Her laugh cracked like fine china. Trophy?
Try pawn.
Your father.
He had debts.
Big ones. Back in the '90s, when junk bonds were king. He cooked the books embezzled from clients, funneled through dummy core. I found out in '95, pregnant with Evelyn. He begged me to stay quiet. Said it'd ruin us. Embezzlement. The word hung heavy, rewriting my childhood in grayscale. The private jets, the summers in Aspen, they weren't just success, they were stolen. And you did. For what? The lifestyle? She met my gaze, unflinching. For you girls. For the family. But when the cancer hit, the vulture circled, old partners sniffing audits. Evelyn. She learned from him. Took over the ledgers. Buried deeper. The amendment. Her idea. But I signed off. To protect the facade. If it all went to her, she could launder it clean. You? Too honest. Too wild. You blow it on canvases and causes. Betrayal layered on betrayal. Thick as oil paint. But beneath the hurt, a spark, leverage. If Dad was dirty, so was the estate. Feds wouldn't just seize Evelyn's cut, they'd torch the whole pyre. Why tell me now? I pressed, voice low. Guilt or damage control? Both. She drained her martini, olives rolling like Aaronson's. Evelyn's lost it. The cartels, they're real. She dipped into their pot for quick flips, but now they want payback. That photo drop? Not her.
Thumb.
Warning shot. Cartels. Plural.
Shit.
My revenge blueprint needed redrawing, fast. I stood, mind whirling. Then we end this. Together. Turn state's evidence. Plea out before they bury us all. Mom's eyes glistened, tears or terror. Hard to tell. And Evelyn? She'd never forgive. Forgive? She tried to murder me. The word slipped. Past tense. And her brow furrowed. I backpedaled. In my nightmares.
Anyway. Point is.
She's poison. She nodded.
Slow.
Then pulled a drawer, retrieving a flash drive. Smaller than my thumb. Contingency. Evelyn's backups, passcodes, transfers. Use it wisely. I pocketed it, our fingers brushing in a ghost of affection. Thanks,
Mom.
For once. Leaving felt like shedding skin. The elevator descent mirrored my fall, smooth, inexorable. Outside. Rain sheeted down. Paparazzi flashes popping like gunfire. I dodged into an alley. Uber app glowing sanctuary. But sanctuary was a lie. Halfway to Marcus's. The car swerved, driver cursing as brakes failed. Heart in throat. I bailed at a light, sprinting through traffic to the nearest precinct. Kowalski was on shift, nursing a coffee that smelled like despair. Miss Thorne again? What's it this time, ghosts?
Worse.
Tampered brakes. And this. I shoved the cartel-linked docs from Harold, plus Mom's drive. Racketeering. Money laundering. Get the feds. He scanned, whistling. This is dynamite. But you're diving into the deep end.
Kid.
These types don't play. Tell me about it. I scrawled my statement, every loop a noose tightening. By nightfall, SDNY had the files, agents swarming like ants on honey. Raids hit at dawn. Evelyn's penthouse tossed. Her designer closet yielding ledgers in hollowed Louboutins. Mom turned herself involuntarily. Plea deal in hand. Immunity for testimony. Evelyn? Radio silence at first. Then a frantic call from a burner. You traitorous cunt. Mom sold me out? For you? The venom was pure Evelyn, charm curdled to acid. She chose survival.
Ev.
Like you taught her. Laughter. Manic. Survival? This is war. And I always win.
Click.
The high wore off quick. Protests turned ugly, cancel Thorne banners morphing to lock up the leeches. My studio vandalized. Canvases slashed. Turpentine dumped like blood. Greta called. Marcus roughed up in his lobby. Broken ribs. Warning carved in his forearm. Snitches. Guilt gnawed. But resolve hardened. I went underground. Crashing with artist friends in Bushwick squats. Plotting the endgame. The trial loomed federal. Airtight. Evelyn's lawyers spun tales of misunderstandings, but Mom's testimony gutted them. My daughter coerced me. She threatened my life if I didn't sign. Gaslighting gold. Evelyn took the stand, tear-streaked Chanel, painting herself the victim. Delilah's always hated me. Jealous. She fabricated it all for attention. The courtroom, a sterile box in Foley Square, hummed tension. I testified last. Voice steady. She didn't just steal money. She stole lives. Mine included. Cross-exam? Brutal. Evelyn's shark attorney waved the doctored photos. MS. Thorne. Is this you seducing your dying father? Objections flew. Judge banging gavel like thunder. But the seed was planted. Jurors' eyes narrowing. Whispers rippling. That night, post-testimony, I slipped out a side door. Shadows long in the sodium glow. Footsteps echoed, too close. I bolted, heels clicking frantic on cobblestones, ducking into a dive bar on Canal. Heart pounding, I nursed a whiskey neat, scanning faces. He slid onto the stool beside me, tall, olive-skinned, suit rumpled like forgotten promises. Delilah Thorne?
We need to talk.
About your sister.
Cartel.
The word screamed in my head, but his eyes held no threat, just weariness. Name's Javier Ruiz. Undercover with the DEA. Evelyn's been our ghost for years, laundering for Sinaloa.
But she's rogue now.
Owes them 10 mil. They want her head. Alliance? Risky as Russian roulette. But in this game, lone wolves got picked off. What do you need? Your testimony. Inside track. We flip her, or she flips out on you. I clinked glasses. Packed sealed in bourbon.
Deal.
But if she comes for me first, he grinned. Wolfish. We got your back. The days blurred, depositions. Safe houses. Javier's dry wit cutting tension like a blade. He was ex-Marine. Tattoos peeking from cuffs. Eagle.
Globe.
Anchor. Stories of Juarez ops. Lost partners. Humanized the nightmare. Then, the confrontation brewed. Evelyn out on bail, millions. But her web spun wide. She lured me to the family Hamptons estate. Text pleading. Mom's dying words. Come alone. End this. Trap. Obvious as neon. But the twist? I walked in anyway. Javier's wire humming under my blouse. The great room, beamed ceilings, ocean roar beyond French doors, felt like a stage. Evelyn waited by the fireplace, flames licking logs like her temper.
Sis.
You look alive. Miracle.
Huh.
I edged closer, mic capturing every creak. She poured brandy. Hands steady, too steady. Mom ratted.
But you're the real snake.
Dad told me everything. How you pushed him. That last week. Delilah wants it all, he gasped. Lies. But her eyes, desperate. Cornered. The cartel's scent clung to her, paranoia in every twitch. Cut the shit.
Ev.
Sinaloa's coming.
Turn yourself in. Plead to me.
Her laugh shattered the glass in her grip, blood welling. Ruby drops on white marble. Plea? To you? The failure? I built this. While you doodled. The shove came sudden, me against the mantel. Her nails digging crescents. You died once. Felt good. Knowing I won. Confession. Gold. But then, gun from her waistband. Pearl-handled. Dad's old Beretta. Won't be so easy now. Time slowed. Javier's voice crackled. Delilah. Hold.
Bang.
But not from her. Windows shattered. TAC team swarming, DEA black. Vests bulging. Evelyn spun. Wild-eyed. Finger squeezing. The Beretta bucked in Evelyn's grip. Muzzle flash blooming like a deadly orchid. But Javier's team was poetry in motion. Shields up. Shouts in Spanish-tinged English. Suelta el arma. Drop it. The bullet whined past my ear, splintering the mantle into oak confetti, close enough to singe my hair.
¿Y dove?
Rolling across the Persian rug as glass rained like judgment, the ocean's crash outside a mocking applause. Evelyn fired again, wild. Panicked, pinging off a chandelier that swayed like a drunk. You traitors, all of you, her scream was primal. The golden girl unmasked, mascara rivers. Chanel shredded by recoil. Javier tackled her from the flank, knee in her back, wrenching the gun free with a crack of wrist. Evelyn Thorne, you're under arrest for attempted murder. Racketeering hell. Conspiracy to everything but the kitchen sink. Cuffs clicked, her sobs guttural as they dragged her out, past the tack van strobes, painting the dunes blue. I slumped against the wall, breath ragged, tasting salt, tears,
Sea air?
adrenaline crash hit like a freight train, knees buckling. Javier crouched, checking me over. You good, Thorne? That was ballsier than I like. I nodded, shaky laugh bubbling. Family reunions.
Right?
Always a shootout. Medics swarmed, but the real cavalry was the headlines next morning. Thorne heiress shootout. Sister's rampage ends in Hampton's bloodbath. No blood. Thank God, just Evelyn's. From her slashed palm. Dramatized for clicks. Mom's plea held. She'd testify from a psych ward. Nervous breakdown her ticket to leniency. The trial? A circus on steroids. Federal court in Brooklyn. Overflow crowds spilling into halls. Evelyn's defense. Insanity. Battered by family trauma. But the wire recording, her confession. The gun nailed the coffin shut. Cartel ties unraveled like cheap yarn. Indictments cascading. Sinaloa mid-levels flipping for deals. My testimony was the mic drop. Standing tall in a simple black sheath, no pearls. No pretense, I laid it bare. The forgery, the threats, the crash that killed me. Gasps rippled when I slipped. She ended my life once. Won't get a second shot. Jurors leaned in. Whispers of what? But the judge let it slide. Poetic license in the theater of justice. Evelyn glared from the dock. Unrepentant to the end. You were always the favorite. Delilah. Dad's wild one. But I was the smart one. Deserved it. Verdict. Guilty on all counts. Life. No parole. As they led her away, our eyes locked, one last sisterly stare down. No tears from me. Just release. Cold as winter tide. Mom? She faded quiet, house arrest in a Palm Beach condo. Writing memoirs no one would read. Last letter. Forgive me, wild one. For the cage I built. I burned it on the beach. Ashes scattering like absolution. The fortune?
Seized.
Mostly, feds auctioning assets to fund victim restitution. My cut? A modest trust. Enough for the studio. Paints. Maybe a cottage upstate. No yachts. Freedom tasted better plain. Months blurred into healing. I painted again, not abstracts, but portraits. Dad's kind eyes. Unclouded, Mom's steel spine. Bent but unbroken. Evelyn's glare. A warning to the world. Gallery show in Soho sold out. Will gate survivors buy art? Apparently. Javier stuck around. Off-duty beers turning to late-night walks along the High Line. You ever think about that died once line? He asked one frostbitten night. City lights haloing his scar. I shrugged. Linking arms. Artists flourish.
But yeah.
Second chances? They're rare. Don't waste 'em. He kissed me then soft.
Tentative.
Tasting of possibility. Not revenge's fire, but something warmer. Life 2.0. Yet twists linger. A year on. Anonymous package at the gallery. Evelyn's prison sketch, me. Haloed in flames. Caption. Burn.
Sis.
Chilling, but toothless. She's caged. I'm free. And the real hook? In the quiet hours. I wonder, was the crash fate's nudge? Or did I summon my own rebirth? Doesn't matter. I clawed back. Fought dirty. Won ugly. Controversial? Damn right. But in America's Game of Thrones, survival's the only happy ending worth a damn. Epilogue whispers. Marcus recovered. Greta baking pies laced with spite for Evelyn's lawyers. Kowalski got a promotion, tipping his hat at my shows. Even Rosa visited, her affidavit framed like a medal.
Me?
Delilah Thorne.
Reborn.
Not perfect. Not pristine. Just alive, wild, unbowed. Canvas ready for the next stroke.